morning. How are you doing? Well, we're going to be showing you our latest of our Disney Park Parade floats that you can come pick up at the library and make. If you haven't had a chance to come pick them up, we have all the back ones that you can come get. Otherwise, you can keep adding on. So, leading our parade, of course, is Mickey Mouse as the Sorcerer's Apprentice. And then we had two floats from the Moana movie. We had one with Maui and one with Moana. And then the one that we did in our last video was Cinderella in her pumpkin carriage. And don't forget, one of the things that I do suggest is you can add a little bit of string, and then you'll be able to have your whole park parade float going. We're going to have 9 in total, so those were our first 4. And our newest one is from the second Frozen movie, and it's a big one. So you can see we got Olaf, we got Anna, we got Elsa, and we kind of have the magical horse that was running across the water there. So this is going to be our latest float that we are going to add to our parade. Now, to get your parade float going, if you need to make the back ones, we have our other videos. For today, what you're going to need to do is pick up the paper that we've got printed out with the directions at the library. And then in addition to those, you are going to want to have scissors. There is toothpicks you're going to need to just cut the little tips off of. It is a little bit easier to do with wire cutters, but you can do it with scissors, but I have both. You're going to want something to color your floats with. We've been using colored pencil because I feel like marker just bleeds through. Crayons would also work very nicely. And a little tape and a little glue. And then you also might want stick glue. So you can use the wet kind of glue or the stick glue. This one you got to wait a little bit longer for it to dry, but I think it's got a much better hold. Otherwise, if you use the glue stick, it sets much faster, but it doesn't hold quite as good. So you can do that either way. And then if you've been doing this before, you know that we have this one little part on the wheel that we need to poke out, which is where the toothpicks go. And we found it very handy to have a push pin, or if you've got a needle at home, definitely a part for the grown-up to do. But you can do it without it. It just makes it a little bit easier. So those are the things you're going to want to have, is your paper and all of those materials. And then you will be ready to get started on your Frozen 2 park float. So we'll see you in a minute. Okay, so if you've assembled your materials and you've picked up your paper from the library, you can see there's a couple of pages on here. I think there's 2 pages for you to color and to cut out. Now, the important thing to always remember is we are cutting out on the solid lines, and we're going to be using the dotted lines for fold lines, so don't cut on any of those dotted lines. I always find it easier to color my pieces first and then cut them out, so that's what I've already done. So out of our pieces that we have, we've got the nice big tree. We've got the sides of the ice canyon that you're going to see, and this is a little bit more of that. We have Sven. We have Olaf. We have Anna and Elsa. And then this is going to be kind of a fun little ice detail on the back. And then the part that we're going to start with first, and if you've watched any of our videos, you know this is what we always start with first, which is the base that the float is built on. So for the base, we're going to make it, we're going to glue it together, and then you're going to put it aside and let that glue just kind of set while you're making the top part of your float. So this is the base to your float, and they all go about the same. So we're going to fold on all of these dotted lines, and then we're going to come back in and glue. But first, I want to get my fold lines going. So I've got side 1, including, don't forget those tiny little flaps. And then I open it back up. side 2, and again kind of opening it up, side 3, and my teeny tiny flaps, and then the last one, side 4. Okay, so I haven't glued yet, but you can see I've put some nice bends on everything. The glue is going to go on those tiny little fold flaps right there. I tend to use the regular wet glue for this, just because it does hold a little bit longer, hold a little better. You are going to have to hold it for a minute or two to really let it set, but it definitely is worth it for the strength of the glue. So I'm going to go and I'm going to put a good dot. Helps if I open my glue up. Don't forget that at home. Otherwise you squeeze and squeeze and it won't work. Okay, so I'm going to put a dot on that side, a dot on that side, a dot on that side, and oh, there's number 4. So we got 4 sides, and then I'm just going to fold them up, and I am going to gently hold this for probably about a minute while this glues. Now I know you guys don't want to sit there and watch glue dry, so I do want to remind you about a couple of things that's coming up at the library. First, we have a great summer that's going to be coming up, and for all of that summer fun, we have an overview of the information in the rec flyer that'll be coming out. Otherwise, we will have the full information on the library's website and on our Facebook page in May. So that'll give you the times, the registration, the locations, and all the different programs that we're having coming up. And then if you haven't had a chance to do our Tailwise Science program, it's a story that you can watch that's got some science integrated in it. We have just a few of the science take-home kits left that you can pick up and be able to do science experiments at home. So that is also available at the library. So that wasn't too long to wait, and now look, that was just enough time for that glue to set and harden up. Next, we're gonna make our wheels. Ooh, where did I put my toothpicks? I lost my toothpicks. Don't lose your toothpicks. So you're gonna have to wait one moment while I find some new toothpicks because mine ran away. Luckily, I got a spare pack right here. Always good to have a spare. So there's my toothpicks. And what we're going to do, like I said, easiest I find is to kind of pre-poke the hole right in the middle of the wheel. So I'm going to poke hole number 1, hole 2, hole 3, and then the last one here, I should say hole 4, or we'll call it wheel 4. So what we're going, it just keeps my wheels a little less wrinkled. What we're going to do is we're going to take our wheel, we're going to stick the toothpick right through the wheel as gently as you can, because we don't want to wrinkle the paper too much, because this is the actual wheel that it is going to be able to roll. So we're going to have it set just like that, and then we're going to put it right through the straw, and then we're going to put the other wheel on the other side. After we do that, we are going to add just a drop of glue on both wheels, just to make sure that they don't fall off on you. I mean, they're pretty good on there, so you really shouldn't come off, but it's always handy to just add a drop of glue. You're going to do this axle this way, and then do the second axle the exact same way. So I'll let you work on your axles. I'm going to finish up my second axle, and we'll come back when it is all ready to go. Okay, so I've made my 2 axles. The next step, what you're going to do is we are going to just cut this little bit of a pointy part off of both of them. So you can use your regular scissors. I do find it a little bit easier to use the wire cutters. This is definitely a step that you're going to want your grown-up helper to do. I do it very gently because I don't want to lose those tips, because I want to make sure I can get those in the garbage can. But we're just going to cut those pokey parts off of both of your axles. So now you got your axles ready to go. I've got my glue on them. And then this is where you're going to need your tape. So I'm going to take a piece of tape. I find it's easier to pinch between my fingers. And then we are going to rest that straw right on where the wheel cutout is there. Usually the straw will just rest right on there. And then I am very gently going to put a piece of tape down there, go up and over my straw, and then very gently tap it down in there. Ideally you want to keep it kind of straight. Mine's a little bent here, because I'm sure that'll help it roll straighter. But that's all we're going to do for securing that. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other axle. Get my little piece of tape. Get my axle right there. I always do the middle part first because it's just so much easier, because I got so much more room. And then you got this part where you just got to get your fingers in there, that it's teeny, teeny, tiny, but it's okay. I cut my nails short. I shouldn't have done that. It was definitely easier to tap that in there when my nails were longer. But there we go. Tap, tap, tap. Now, the glue is still drying on our wheel, so I'm going to just leave it upside down like this. I'm going to put it aside, and I'm going to let that glue dry while we are making the next part of our float, which is the part that's going to ride up here on top of it. It's the main part of the float that you're going to see. So get ready for that next step. Okay, so now we're on to the next part of our float, which is that big top part. Now there's a couple of pieces, and the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to fold together a couple of pieces that we're going to just let dry. So instead, I originally had been starting with this one, but I think it's a little easier that we're going to start with our tree, because all you're going to do with your tree, again, I'm going to pre-fold that dotted line right there in the middle, is we're going to glue the tree together. That's just going to make it a little stronger. So I'm just going to take a little bit of my glue, run it up my tree, fold it in half, give it a nice pat down so that glue can fold in half. And then I'm just going to put it to the side, and I'm going to let this start drying. Next, I'm on the big part of the base. So we've got lots of those dotted lines here. So I always kind of pre-fold my lines. So again, side one, fold my lines. Side two. Oh, there's no side two. There's no dots. Side three, fold my lines. And then I do have those little flaps there, so I'm going to have to fold those up on this one and on this one. And then we have side four has those dots. So what we're going to do is these two flaps are going to get the glue, and we're going to come and we're going to fold those together just like that. So we are going to get a little glue on that flap, a little glue on that flap, and then we will fold those up Again, if you're using the wet glue, I'm gonna do it this way so I can press down on the table for a second. You're gonna wanna just hold it for a couple of seconds. Give your glue just a chance to set. It is worth the time that it takes to use the little other glue. It's a little bit stronger. Like I said, folding it down like that, you can really press it down really good. Get a good seal in there, because we want a good strong parade float. And then once it's had a chance to set just a little bit, now we've got that top of that parade float. I'm going to put this one aside. The next thing we've got to fold is kind of that magical horse there. You can see there's our dotted line. So first thing I'm going to do again is just kind of pre-fold all my dotted lines. So there's side 1, side 2. I've got these 2 dotted lines here. Give them a bit of a fold. Actually, they are going to a little fold. I like pre-creasing things. There's a little fold right here. Now, if you notice, this is actually where our little magic tree is going to go. That's why we did it in the first. We're going to stick the little magic tree in the middle, and we're going to give it a little bit of glue, and we're going to fold the horses together. There's this little side flap here that I forgot. Again, look, sometimes those dotted lines are just tricky. They hide on you. And that's going to be where I'm going to need that for gluing down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little glue here in between where the horse is, so that I can glue the horse together, and I can glue the tree in here. Oopsies. And again, if you want to do this with glue stick, you're more than welcome to. Glue stick will hold a little bit faster. So I'm going to stick my tree right on that glue that I got in there. I'm going to kind of... Now, I don't really want to fold the back of this in half, so I'm kind of just gently gluing the horses together, because it's actually one horse. That way you're going to see it on both sides. So I'm just giving a second for that glue to set and to hold the tree nicely in the middle. So that is going to be the front part of our float, just like that. So once you give it a chance to let that part set, this is going to kind of sneak right in here, what we already made, and those little front little flaps are going to glue right down just like that. I'm going to give just a little touch of glue on the 2 sides, that way it'll hold. Again, you don't want to squish anything too hard when you're doing this, because it is just paper and we don't want to squish our parade float. We just want it to hold together really nicely. So I'm going to just give a little bit of glue and wiggle this in here, nice and gentle. Just gently hold it there for a couple of seconds and let that glue set. Once I set that glue, I'm going to put a little dot of glue down here on the bottom, and I'm going to put that in and let that set. Again, you can see just holding a little bit of tension, but not squishing your float. And honestly, that's probably long enough. Then I'm going to come and put my little dot of glue under my horse here. Just get him a little set, a little squish under there, and put him down so that he, and you can see this is actually going to be a nice big float. So we've got that base going, and now we're going to move on to the next part of our float. Okay, so now we're ready to put some characters on our float, and the first character we're going to put on our float is Elsa. So Elsa, there's actually 2 parts. We have this one. We're going to give a little bit of a fold on those dots, and then it even says glue base from Elsa's cutout here. So Elsa is going to glue right there on the front. So we're going to put a little glue there to hold Elsa together. Again, I'm going to just give it a little squish together. Now, for this part, Elsa is going right here on the back of our float, and we're just going to put a touch of glue back here and attach it right here so that it's going to hold Elsa up there, and so it doesn't go anywhere. So I'm going to let go for a sec while I get just a touch of glue. Get Elsa the way we want her to look, and then give it just a squish and hold it just for a minute. And then after we put Elsa on the float, we're ready to put Anna on the float. So Anna has this little flap on the bottom. So again, we're gonna bend where the flap goes. And we're gonna put a little glue under here, and then Anna's gonna sit on our float. Right here. Just gonna hold that for a second, let that glue start to set. And then to keep Anna some company, we're gonna put Olaf. And Olaf's gonna go on the exact same way. He's got a little flap there. I'm just gonna give it a fold. Put a little glue on there. And then we're gonna put Olaf right here on the front. Again, I'm just going to hold it for just a second, let that start setting a bit. And then we can't forget Sven. Sven's actually going back here. It even says glue top from piece 4 here, which is Sven. So we're going to do this first fold, and we're gonna fold this away from him because he's going to be back here. He's gonna be looking out. And then we're gonna fold this flap up like this. So what we're going to be doing, this is gonna give it a nice depth there. It's gonna sit kind of like that. We're gonna put the glue here, and it's going to glue back there. So I'm gonna put some glue. It's even got a spot right there where it tells you where to stick him. I'm gonna put it right there. I'm gonna hold this for a couple of seconds to just let the glue set. And then once you have all of these pieces glued together, you've got Sven, you've got Anna, you have Elsa, you have Olaf. The last thing is we're gonna take this piece and we are going to put it on our base, which has been drying this whole time. So gonna flip my base over, and this is just going to glue right there on top of your base. Now I do suggest, you can roll it very gently right away, but I would suggest let your glue set, give it a little time to dry, and then you will be able to roll it nicely. So this is our 5th of 9 parade floats from Frozen 2. You have Anna, Elsa, Sven, Olaf, the magic horse, the tree, all ready to go down your parade route. Just a few more to go, and you're going to have a huge Disney parade for your house. Have a good day. Bye.